What if the hours you spend sleeping could become your most powerful English learning tool? Picture this. You drift off to sleep, and while your body rests, your mind quietly absorbs English words, phrases, and patterns. You wake up feeling refreshed, and somehow, English feels more natural on your tongue. This isn't fantasy, it's neuroscience. Every night, your brain performs an incredible process called memory consolidation. It sorts through your day, deciding what to keep and what to discard. It strengthens important memories and creates neural pathways that last a lifetime. But here's what most people don't realize. You can influence this process. You can guide your sleeping brain to prioritize English, to make those new words stick deeper, to build confidence that carries into your waking hours. Tonight, I'm going to share the science-backed strategies that turn your bedroom into a language laboratory. We'll explore what actually works, what's just wishful thinking, and how to create a sleep learning routine that transforms not just your English, but your entire relationship with language learning. Are you ready to unlock the hidden power of your sleeping mind? Drop a comment below. Have you ever wondered if your dreams could help you speak English better? Your bedroom is dark. Your phone sits silently on the nightstand. You close your eyes, feeling the day's exhaustion melt away. But as your conscious mind fades, something extraordinary begins. Deep within your brain, millions of neurons are firing in precise patterns. Your sleeping mind isn't switched off. It's running the most sophisticated data processing system on Earth. And tonight, we're going to hack it for English fluency. The concept of learning during sleep has fascinated humanity for decades. In the 1950s, inventors created sleep learning machines, crude devices that whispered facts and phrases into sleeping ears. The idea captured imaginations worldwide. Students dreamed of absorbing entire textbooks while they slept. Language learners envisioned waking up bilingual. But early enthusiasm crashed against scientific skepticism. Researchers declared sleep learning impossible, dismissing it as pseudoscience. For years, the dream seemed dead. Then neuroscience evolved. Advanced brain imaging revealed that sleep isn't a passive state. It's an active, dynamic process of memory formation and consolidation. Scientists discovered that your sleeping brain doesn't just rest. It reorganizes, strengthens, and integrates the day's experiences. This revelation changed everything. Modern research shows that while you can't learn completely new information during deep sleep, you can absolutely strengthen and deepen what you've already encountered. Your brain acts like a master librarian, carefully filing away the most important memories while discarding the irrelevant. Here's where it gets exciting for English learners. If you study English during the day and then expose your sleeping brain to the same material, something remarkable happens. Those neural pathways get reinforced. The words become more familiar. The patterns feel more natural. Think about it. You already know that repetition is crucial for language learning. But what if you could get that repetition while you sleep? What if those 8 hours of rest could become 8 hours of gentle, subconscious reinforcement? The key isn't cramming new grammar rules into your sleeping brain. It's about taking the English you've already learned and making it stronger, deeper, more automatic. It's about transforming conscious effort into unconscious fluency. This process works because your sleeping brain is incredibly selective. It doesn't remember everything. It prioritizes information that carries emotional weight, that seems important, that connects to existing knowledge. When you combine daytime English study with nighttime audio exposure, you're sending a clear signal. This matters. Remember this. But sleep learning isn't magic, and it's not a shortcut. It's a scientifically grounded technique that amplifies your existing efforts. It turns your bedroom into a language immersion pod, where English sounds become as natural as your own heartbeat. The students who master this technique report something beautiful. English stops feeling foreign. Instead of wrestling with words, they flow naturally. Instead of translating everything, they think directly in English. Instead of fear, they feel familiarity. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens over many nights. Each sleep session adds another layer to your English foundation. Each morning, You wake up slightly more fluent than before. Right now, as you listen to these words, your brain is preparing for tonight's most important lesson. Not the one you'll consciously study, but the one that happens after your eyes close and your breathing deepens. Sleep isn't uniform. It's a complex journey through distinct stages, each serving specific functions for memory and learning. Understanding this journey is crucial for optimizing your English acquisition. When you first fall asleep, you enter light sleep. Your brain waves slow down, but you're still somewhat aware of your surroundings. This is when your mind begins the transition from conscious processing to automatic memory consolidation. Then comes deep sleep, the most physically restorative stage. Your brain waves become long and slow. Your body repairs itself, while your mind sorts through the day's experiences. This is where the magic of memory consolidation happens most powerfully. Finally, you enter REM sleep, where dreams occur. Your brain becomes almost as active as when you're awake, but your body remains paralyzed. This stage is crucial for creative connections and emotional processing. Here's what's remarkable. During these sleep cycles, your brain doesn't just passively store memories. It actively decides what to keep and what to discard. It's like having a personal editor working through the night, crafting the story of what you'll remember. This process is called synaptic homeostasis. Your brain literally reshapes itself based on what it deems important. Connections that were weak during the day can become strong overnight. Patterns that seemed unclear can suddenly make sense. For English learners, this presents an incredible opportunity. When you expose your sleeping brain to English audio that you've already studied, you're influencing this editorial process. You're whispering to your subconscious, these words, these patterns, these sounds, they're important. Keep them. Strengthen them. The key is timing and familiarity. Your sleeping brain can't learn brand new information. That requires conscious attention. But it excels at reinforcing, deepening, and connecting information you've already encountered. Think of it like watering a garden. You plant the seeds during your daytime study. But the real growth happens at night, when gentle rain, your sleep-learning audio, nurtures those seeds in the darkness. Research shows that people who review material before sleep and then hear the same material during sleep demonstrate significantly better retention than those who only study during the day. The sleeping brain acts like a natural amplifier, boosting the signal of important memories while filtering out the noise. But this process requires emotional engagement. Your brain doesn't just remember facts, it remembers feelings. If you study English with curiosity and joy during the day, your sleeping brain will prioritize those memories. If you approach learning with stress and pressure, even sleep learning becomes less effective. This is why choosing the right content for sleep learning matters so much. Your sleeping brain responds to stories better than isolated words, to familiar voices better than mechanical repetition, to content that carries emotional resonance better than dry academic material. The beauty of this process is its gentleness. Unlike intensive study sessions that can leave you mentally exhausted, sleep learning works through subtle repetition and gradual reinforcement. You wake up not feeling overwhelmed, but feeling more confident. Your brain's midnight classroom operates on principles of patience and persistence. It doesn't cram information, it cultivates understanding. It doesn't force fluency, it nurtures natural expression. This is why sleep learning works best as part of a holistic approach. It's not a replacement for active study, conversation practice, or reading. It's the secret ingredient that makes all your other efforts more effective. When you understand how your sleeping brain processes English, you can work with its natural rhythms instead of against them. You can turn every night into an opportunity for deeper, more lasting language acquisition. Deep in research laboratories around the world, scientists have been quietly revolutionizing our understanding of how languages are learned. Their discoveries about sleep and memory formation are changing everything we thought we knew about becoming fluent. Let me take you inside one of the most groundbreaking studies ever conducted on sleep learning. Researchers at the University of Zurich recruited volunteers to learn pairs of foreign words. During the day, participants studied these word pairs while fully awake. But here's where it gets interesting. Half the group heard the same word pairs played softly while they slept. The results were stunning. Those who heard the words during sleep remembered significantly more pairs the next day. Their brains had used the sleeping hours to strengthen memories that were initially weak and fragile. But the researchers didn't stop there. They used advanced brain imaging to peer inside participants' sleeping minds. What they discovered was remarkable. Even in deep sleep, the brain showed clear responses to familiar words. Neural networks that had been activated during daytime learning lit up again during sleep, reinforcing those same pathways. Another fascinating study explored what happens when we combine sleep learning with emotional content. Participants learned English phrases that were either emotionally neutral or personally meaningful. Those who heard emotionally engaging content during sleep showed dramatically better retention and recall. This finding revolutionizes how we think about language learning. Your sleeping brain doesn't just process information, it processes meaning and emotion. Stories resonate more than facts. Personal phrases stick better than random vocabulary. Content that makes you feel something becomes part of who you are. Swiss researchers made another crucial discovery. Sleep learning only works with material you've already encountered while awake. Your sleeping brain is an editor, not a teacher. It can strengthen, reorganize, and deepen existing memories, but it can't create entirely new ones from scratch. This finding eliminates the fantasy of learning fluent French while sleeping without ever studying during the day. But it reveals something even more powerful. Sleep can transform weak memories into strong ones, uncertain knowledge into confident fluency. Neuroscientists have identified the optimal timing for sleep learning. The most effective window occurs during the first few hours of sleep, when your brain cycles through deep sleep stages most frequently. This is when memory consolidation is most active, when neural pathways are most plastic. Studies also reveal the importance of volume and content selection. Audio that's too loud can disrupt sleep quality, actually harming memory formation. Content that's too complex or unfamiliar gets ignored by the sleeping brain. But gentle, familiar voices speaking content you've studied earlier create the perfect conditions for subconscious reinforcement. One particularly elegant experiment tested whether sleep learning could improve pronunciation. Participants practiced challenging English sounds during the day, then heard the same sounds played during sleep. Brain scans showed that sleep exposure strengthened the neural networks responsible for accurate pronunciation, leading to measurably better speech the next day. Perhaps most encouraging is research showing that sleep learning benefits persist over time. Unlike cramming, which produces temporary knowledge that quickly fades, sleep-reinforced learning creates lasting memories. The gentle repetition during sleep builds robust neural pathways that remain strong weeks later. Brain imaging studies reveal another beautiful truth. Sleep learning reduces anxiety around language use. When you hear English regularly during your most relaxed state, your brain begins to associate the language with calm and safety rather than stress and performance pressure. This neurological shift is profound. Many language learners struggle not with knowledge, but with fear. They know the words, but freeze when speaking. They understand grammar, but doubt themselves in conversation. Sleep learning gradually erodes these emotional barriers by making English feel familiar and non-threatening. The science is clear. Your sleeping brain is a powerful ally in language acquisition, not a magic solution that eliminates the need for conscious study, but a sophisticated tool that amplifies your efforts and accelerates your progress. When you understand the research, sleep learning stops seeming mystical and starts feeling practical. It's not about believing in miracles. It's about applying proven neuroscience to transform your English fluency. Let's address the elephant in the room with complete honesty. You cannot become fluent in English simply by playing audio while you sleep. If that's what you're hoping for, I need to redirect those expectations right now. Your sleeping brain is powerful, but it's not omnipotent. It can't download complete fluency like a computer program. It can't teach you complex grammar rules you've never encountered. It can't replace the need for speaking practice, reading comprehension, or active vocabulary building. What it can do, however, is extraordinary in its own right. Sleep learning excels at strengthening vocabulary you've already encountered. When you study new words during the day and then hear them again during sleep, something remarkable happens in your neural networks. Those initially weak memory traces become reinforced, creating stronger, more accessible pathways. Imagine learning the word serendipity during your evening study session. You read its definition, see in context, maybe even use it in a sentence. That night, if you hear the word again during sleep, your brain doesn't learn it for the first time. It strengthens the connection that already exists. This process transforms uncertain knowledge into confident recognition. Words that felt unfamiliar start feeling natural. Phrases that required conscious effort begin flowing automatically. Sleep learning also improves your ear for English rhythm and intonation. Even while unconscious, your brain processes the musical patterns of language. Regular exposure to English during sleep helps you internalize the natural flow of sentences, the stress patterns of words, the melody of native speech. This doesn't mean you'll wake up speaking with perfect pronunciation, but it does mean English will start sounding more familiar, less foreign. You'll develop what linguists call phonological awareness, an intuitive sense of how English should sound. Perhaps most importantly, sleep learning builds emotional comfort with the language. Fear is one of the biggest barriers to fluency. Many learners know more English than they can access because anxiety blocks their natural expression. When you hear English during your most relaxed state, deep sleep, your brain forms positive associations with the language. English stops feeling like a test you might fail and starts feeling like a familiar friend. This emotional shift often translates into increased confidence during waking conversation. Sleep learning also enhances pattern recognition. Languages are built on patterns, grammatical structures that repeat, word combinations that frequently occur together, sentence templates that native speakers use automatically. Your sleeping brain excels at detecting these patterns. When you expose it to well-structured English content night after night, it begins recognizing the underlying templates. You don't consciously learn grammar rules, but you develop an intuitive sense of what sounds right. However, there are clear limitations we must acknowledge. Sleep learning cannot teach you completely new grammatical concepts. If you've never encountered the past perfect tense while awake, hearing it during sleep won't suddenly make you understand it. Similarly, sleep learning won't develop your speaking muscles. Fluent speech requires physical coordination. Your tongue, lips, and vocal cords must learn to produce English sounds accurately. This physical learning requires conscious practice, repetition, and correction. Sleep learning also can't replace the need for active communication. Language is ultimately about connecting with other people. You need real conversations, genuine interactions, and meaningful exchanges to develop true communicative competence. What sleep learning provides is foundation and support. It creates favorable conditions for faster learning when you are awake. It builds familiarity that reduces anxiety. It strengthens memories that might otherwise fade. It develops intuitions that guide your language choices. Think of sleep learning as a multiplier rather than a replacement. If you study English for 1 hour during the day, sleep learning might help you retain and integrate that knowledge more effectively. But if you don't study at all during the day, sleep learning has nothing to multiply. The most successful language learners understand this balance. They use their waking hours for active learning, speaking, reading, writing, and engaging with the language consciously. Then they use their sleeping hours for passive reinforcement, allowing their subconscious mind to strengthen and organize what they've learned. This combination creates a powerful synergy. Your conscious and unconscious minds work together, each contributing their unique strengths to your overall fluency development. The 20 minutes before you fall asleep may be the most valuable time of your entire day for English learning. Not because you'll cram more information into your brain, but because you'll prepare your mind for optimal memory consolidation. Your pre-sleep ritual determines whether your sleeping brain ignores English audio or embraces it as important information worth remembering. Get this right. and every night becomes a powerful learning session. You get it wrong, and you're just playing background noise. First, you must create the right mental state. Your brain needs to transition from the chaos of daily life to the calm focus that promotes memory formation. This means putting away devices, dimming lights, and giving your nervous system permission to relax. Sit comfortably in your bedroom. Take several deep breaths. Feeling tension, leave your body with each exhalation. This isn't meditation, it's preparation. You're signaling to your brain that something important is about to happen. Now comes the crucial step, reviewing the English content you'll hear during sleep. This review shouldn't be intensive study. You're not trying to memorize or analyze. You're simply reacquainting your conscious mind with material that your unconscious mind will later process. Choose content you've already encountered earlier in the day. This might be a short story you read during lunch, vocabulary phrases you practiced in the evening, or dialogue from a podcast you enjoyed. The key is familiarity. Your sleeping brain can only strengthen what it already recognizes. Spend 5 to 10 minutes with this content. Read it aloud if it's text, or listen carefully if it's audio. Pay attention to the rhythm, the sound patterns, the emotional tone. You're not studying, you're savoring. As you review, engage your emotions. Smile at phrases that delight you. Connect words to personal memories or experiences. Imagine using these expressions in real conversations. Emotional engagement tells your brain this content matters, increasing the likelihood it will be prioritized during sleep. Some learners find it helpful to write 3 to 5 favorite phrases in a bedside journal. The physical act of writing creates additional memory traces, while choosing favorites ensures you're working with content that resonates personally. Others prefer to record themselves reading the content aloud. Hearing your own voice creates a unique neural signature that your sleeping brain recognizes and responds to more readily than unfamiliar voices. The volume and pacing of your pre-sleep review matters enormously. Speak or listen slowly, allowing each word to register fully. Your goal isn't to cover lots of material quickly, but to create deep, clear impressions that your sleeping brain can easily access. As you near the end of your review, consciously appreciate your progress. Acknowledge how much your English has already improved. Feel gratitude for the opportunity to learn. These positive emotions create neurochemical conditions that enhance memory consolidation. Finally, set a clear intention for your sleep learning session. Not a desperate plea for overnight fluency, but a gentle request for your subconscious mind to strengthen what you've learned. Something like, as I sleep, may these words become more familiar and natural. The physical environment matters too. Your room should be cool, dark, and quiet except for your English audio. Use comfortable earphones if necessary, but keep the volume low enough that it won't disturb your sleep quality. Place your audio device within easy reach, but set a timer so the audio stops after 30 to 60 minutes. Your brain does its most intensive memory consolidation during the first part of the night. After that, you need undisturbed rest. Some learners enhance their pre-sleep ritual with gentle background music, instrumental tracks that promote relaxation without competing with the English content. Others prefer complete silence except for the learning audio. Experiment to find what works best for you, but maintain consistency once you discover an effective routine. Your brain thrives on patterns and expectations. When you follow the same pre-sleep process each night, your subconscious learns to anticipate and prepare for the learning session ahead. Remember, this ritual isn't about cramming more study time into your day. It's about optimizing the learning that happens naturally during sleep. You're working with your brain's intrinsic processes rather than fighting against them. Not all English content is created equal when it comes to sleep learning. Your unconscious mind has preferences, and understanding these preferences is crucial for maximizing your nighttime language acquisition. Your sleeping brain craves familiarity, simplicity, and emotional resonance. It's drawn to content that feels like a gentle whisper rather than a demanding lecture. It responds to stories rather than facts, to conversations rather than monologues, to voices that convey warmth rather than mechanical precision. The golden rule of sleep learning content is this: Only use material you've already encountered while awake. Your sleeping brain is an editor, not a teacher. It can strengthen existing neural pathways, but cannot create entirely new ones from scratch. Short stories work exceptionally well for sleep learning. Stories engage multiple areas of your brain simultaneously: language processing, emotional centers, visual imagination, and memory formation. When you hear a familiar story during sleep, your brain doesn't just process words. It reactivates the entire narrative experience. Choose stories that are 2 to 5 minutes long when read aloud. This length provides enough content for meaningful reinforcement without overwhelming your processing capacity. Stories with clear emotional arcs work better than purely factual narratives because emotion acts as a powerful memory enhancer. Personal narratives resonate particularly strongly. Stories about overcoming challenges, achieving dreams, or connecting with others tap into universal human experiences that your brain naturally prioritizes for memory storage. Dialogue-based content offers another excellent option. Conversations between two people provide natural rhythm and intonation patterns that help your brain internalize the musicality of English. Choose dialogues that feel authentic and emotionally engaging rather than stilted or artificial. Repetitive phrase loops can be surprisingly effective, especially for building confidence and familiarity. Simple affirmations like, "I am becoming more fluent each day," or "English feels natural and comfortable," work on both linguistic and psychological levels. When you create phrase loops, use your own voice when possible. Your brain has a special affinity for familiar voices, and hearing yourself speak English during sleep can accelerate the development of internal confidence. The speaker's voice quality matters enormously. Choose voices that you find calming and pleasant. Avoid speakers who sound rushed, stressed, or artificial. The emotional tone of the voice influences how your brain processes the content. Background music can enhance sleep learning when used thoughtfully. Soft instrumental music promotes relaxation and can help mask external noises that might disrupt sleep. However, avoid music with lyrics, strong rhythms, or emotional intensity that might compete with the English content. Nature sounds like gentle rain, ocean waves, or forest ambience can create a soothing audio environment that promotes both sleep quality and memory consolidation. Some learners find that consistent background sounds help establish a mental association between relaxation and English learning. Volume control is critical. Your audio should be loud enough to be subconsciously processed, but quiet enough that it doesn't disturb your sleep cycles. Most people find that barely audible volume levels work best. You should be able to detect the audio, but not feel compelled to actively listen. Avoid certain types of content entirely. News programs, with their rapid pace and stressful subject matter, can disrupt sleep quality. Complex educational content that requires analytical thinking will be ignored by your sleeping brain. Anything new or unfamiliar lacks the neural pathways necessary for sleep learning reinforcement. Technical grammar explanations are particularly unsuitable for sleep learning. Your unconscious mind doesn't process rules and exceptions. It absorbs patterns and rhythms through gentle repetition. Consider creating personalized content that reflects your specific learning goals. If you're working on business English, record yourself reading professional dialogues you've studied. If you're focusing on travel conversations, choose relevant scenarios you've practiced during the day. The key is consistency and repetition. Don't change your sleep learning content every night. Use the same material for 3 to 5 nights, allowing your brain to build deep, robust memories through repeated exposure. Quality trumps quantity in sleep learning. It's better to thoroughly reinforce a small amount of meaningful content than to superficially expose yourself to vast amounts of material your brain will ignore. Now let's integrate everything into a practical, sustainable system that fits into your real life. This isn't about adding more work to your day. It's about optimizing the learning that's already happening naturally in your brain. Your sleep learning system begins the moment you wake up. Instead of immediately checking your phone or rushing into your day, spend 3 minutes with gentle English. This could be reading a short, inspirational quote, listening to a brief story, or simply repeating a few phrases that make you feel confident. This morning routine isn't about intensive study. It's about starting your day with English in a positive, relaxed way. You're priming your brain to notice and prioritize English throughout the day. During your lunch break or afternoon downtime, return to the same content. Read the same story, listen to the same dialogue, or review the same vocabulary phrases. This second exposure is crucial. It tells your brain this information is worth remembering. Don't try to memorize or analyze during this midday review. Simply enjoy the content. Let it wash over you naturally. Your goal is familiarity, not perfection. Evening is when your active English practice happens. Spend 15 to 20 minutes engaging with your chosen content more deliberately. If it's a story, read it aloud. If it's dialogue, practice the conversation. If it's vocabulary, use the words in original sentences. This evening session bridges the gap between passive exposure and active learning. You're taking familiar content and making it personally meaningful through your own voice and creativity. As bedtime approaches, begin your pre-sleep ritual. Dim the lights, put away devices, and create a calm environment. Review your English content one final time, but gently, like saying goodnight to a friend. Set up your audio system with a sleep timer. Most people find that 30 to 60 minutes of audio is optimal. This covers the crucial early sleep period when memory consolidation is most active. Choose audio that matches your learning goals but maintains the familiarity principle. The same story you've read 3 times today, recorded in a calm, pleasant voice. The same dialogue you practiced, spoken at a naturally slow pace. As you lie in bed, don't try to actively listen to the audio. Simply let it play in the background as you naturally drift towards sleep. Your conscious mind relaxes while your unconscious mind takes over the learning process. Some nights you'll fall asleep quickly, hearing only a few minutes of the audio. Other nights you might remain semi-conscious longer, absorbing more content. Both experiences are valuable. Trust your brain to extract what it needs. The key to system success is consistency, not perfection. You don't need to follow this routine flawlessly every day. Even 3 or 4 nights per week can produce noticeable results over time. Adjust the system to fit your lifestyle. If mornings are rushed, make your midday review longer. If evenings are busy, extend your weekend sessions. The framework is flexible. Adapt it to your reality. Track your progress through feeling rather than testing. Notice when English words come to mind more easily. Pay attention to increased confidence in conversations. Observe when English starts feeling more natural and less foreign. Some learners keep a simple journal, noting new phrases that feel familiar or moments when English flowed more smoothly than expected. This awareness helps maintain motivation and reveals the subtle progress that sleep learning creates. Remember that this system works synergistically with all your other English learning activities. It doesn't replace conversation practice, reading, or formal study. It amplifies their effectiveness by strengthening the neural pathways they create. The most successful users of this system report that English gradually stops feeling like a foreign language they're trying to learn and starts feeling like a natural part of their mental landscape. Words flow more easily, anxiety decreases, and communication becomes more intuitive. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It develops over weeks and months of consistent practice. But the daily time investment is minimal, and the learning happens automatically while you rest. Your sleep learning system turns every night into an opportunity for growth, every rest period into a chance for improvement, every dream into a step toward fluency. Even the most scientifically sound techniques can fail spectacularly when implemented incorrectly. Sleep learning is no exception. The difference between success and frustration often comes down to avoiding a few critical mistakes that trap well-intentioned learners. The most common and devastating mistake is using completely new content during sleep. Enthusiastic learners often think, if I'm going to spend 8 hours with English audio playing, I might as well expose myself to as much new material as possible. This approach fails because your sleeping brain cannot process genuinely unfamiliar information. When you play content you've never encountered before, your unconscious mind treats it as irrelevant noise and filters it out completely. You wake up having gained nothing except possibly disrupted sleep. The solution is counterintuitive. Less is more. Use only content you've already studied that day. Your sleeping brain needs familiar neural pathways to follow, not new territory to explore. Another critical error is playing audio all night long. Some learners believe that more exposure equals faster results, so they set their audio to loop continuously for 8 hours. This mistake can actually harm your learning by disrupting sleep quality. Your brain performs memory consolidation most effectively during the first few hours of sleep. After that, you need uninterrupted rest to maintain overall cognitive function. Poor sleep quality will sabotage your daytime learning more than extended audio exposure could ever help. Many learners also make the mistake of changing their content too frequently. They get excited about sleep learning and want to cover as much material as possible, switching to new stories or dialogues every night. But your sleeping brain thrives on repetition, not variety. When you use the same content for several consecutive nights, each exposure strengthens the same neural pathways, creating deeper and more lasting memories. Constant change prevents this cumulative effect from developing. The optimal approach is using identical content for 3 to 5 nights before gradually transitioning to new material. This gives your brain time to fully consolidate each piece of learning before moving forward. Volume mistakes sabotage many sleep learning attempts. Some people play audio too loudly, which can prevent deep sleep or cause frequent awakening. Others play it so quietly that their brain receives insufficient stimulation for memory reinforcement. The ideal volume is just above the threshold of unconscious perception, loud enough for your sleeping brain to process, but quiet enough to maintain natural sleep patterns. You should be barely aware of the audio as you fall asleep. Content selection errors are equally problematic. Many learners choose complex educational materials, thinking that challenging content will accelerate their progress. But your sleeping brain cannot process analytical information. It responds to rhythm, emotion, and familiarity. Avoid grammar explanations, vocabulary lists without context, or any content that requires active thinking. Instead, choose stories, dialogues, and phrases that carry emotional resonance and natural speech patterns. Perhaps the most subtle but significant mistake is having unrealistic expectations. Some learners expect dramatic overnight improvements and become disappointed when progress feels gradual. This frustration often leads to abandoning the technique before it has time to work. Sleep learning produces cumulative results over weeks and months, not dramatic breakthroughs overnight. The changes are often so gradual that you don't notice them until you reflect on your confidence and fluency compared to several weeks earlier. Technical setup mistakes also undermine success. Using uncomfortable headphones that disrupt sleep, forgetting to set sleep timers, or choosing audio files with inconsistent volume levels can all interfere with the learning process. The most successful sleep learners invest time in creating a comfortable, consistent technical setup that supports both learning and sleep quality. Environmental factors matter more than many people realize. Trying to use sleep learning in noisy environments, rooms that are too hot or cold, or beds that aren't comfortable will compromise both sleep quality and learning effectiveness. Finally, many learners make the mistake of using sleep learning as their only English practice, expecting it to replace active study and conversation. Sleep learning is a powerful supplement, not a complete solution. The most effective approach combines quality daytime learning with strategic nighttime reinforcement. Your conscious and unconscious minds work together, each contributing their unique strengths to your overall fluency development. After exploring the science, strategies, and pitfalls of sleep learning, one profound truth emerges. The most powerful learning often happens when we stop forcing and start flowing. Traditional language education teaches us that learning must be difficult, stressful, and intensive to be effective. We're told to push harder, study longer, and overcome our limitations through sheer willpower. But sleep learning reveals a different path, one of patience, gentleness, and trust in our brain's natural wisdom. Your sleeping mind doesn't respond to pressure or demands. It responds to consistency, familiarity, and emotional safety. It teaches us that true fluency isn't conquered through force, but cultivated through care. This lesson extends far beyond language learning. In our achievement-obsessed culture, we often believe that struggle equals progress, that ease equals laziness. But sleep learning demonstrates that some of our most profound growth happens during our most relaxed states. When we create conditions for natural learning, through repetition without pressure, exposure without anxiety, and progress without judgment, our brains reward us with deeper understanding and lasting retention. The gentle approach doesn't mean accepting mediocrity or avoiding challenges. It means working with our neurology rather than against it, honoring our need for rest and reflection, and trusting that consistent small steps lead to remarkable destinations. Sleep learning teaches us that our potential for growth extends beyond our conscious hours. That learning is a partnership between effort and rest, between striving and allowing. In a world that often demands immediate results, it offers the wisdom of patient, persistent growth. Your English journey doesn't have to be a battle. It can be a beautiful, gradual unfolding that happens both when you're working and when you're dreaming. Your transformation begins tonight. Choose one short English story or dialogue you've studied today. Create a calm pre-sleep environment. Play it softly as you drift off to sleep, trusting your brain to do its miraculous work while you rest. This journey works best when we support each other. In the comments below, share your experience. Have you ever tried learning while sleeping? What surprised you most about tonight's exploration? If this opened your mind to new possibilities for English learning, give this video a thumbs up to help other dreamers find it. And subscribe to Epic English Stories for more discoveries that transform how you think about language, learning, and the incredible potential of your sleeping mind. Sweet dreams and sweeter English await you.